Hi BC family, welcome to your midweek devotion. This week I wanted to talk to you guys about plugging your leak. And I want to read a short passage in 2 Kings 4, 1 through 7. And it's all about Elisha and the jar of oil. So now the wife of the son of one of the men who tell what will happen in the future cried out to Elisha, "Your servant, my husband, is dead, and you know that your servant honored the Lord with fear. But the man to whom he owed money has come to take my 2 children to make them serve him." Elijah said to her, "What can I do for you? Tell me what you have in the house." And she said, "Your woman servant has nothing in this house except a jar of oil." Then he said, "Go around and get jars from all your neighbors. Get empty jars, many of them. Then go in and shut the door behind you and your sons. Pour the oil into these jars and set aside each one that is full." So she went from him and shut the door behind her and her sons. They took the jars to her and she poured. When the jars were full, she said to her son, "Bring me another jar." And he said to her, "There is not one jar left." Then the oil stopped flowing, and she came and told the man of God. And he said, "Go and sell the oil and pay what you owe. You and your sons can live on the rest." So there's a few things I want to touch on about this story. One is that this woman had to change her mindset. She had to change her mindset to surplus. That's a word that Amy used on Sunday in her offering, and it really resonated with me, surplus. So this woman had nothing. And if she kept that mentality of empty, of nothing, of defeat, then she would have missed out on what God wanted to pour into her, right? The other part I wanted to touch on is in verse 5, and it says, "So she went from him and shut the door behind her and her sons, who brought the vessels to her, and she poured it out." So she had to be able and ready to pour out what little she had in order for God to pour into her. And that to me was a really key moment in that story. Holly Furtick once said that the more you pour out, the more God will pour into you. If you feel empty, overextended, or dried up, keep being obedient with what God has put in front of you, and the oil will not stop flowing. And I thought how true that is to that story and that example that Jesus gave, right? She was on empty, overextended. She was dried up. She had nothing left, and her sons were about ready to be taken from her. But she was obedient with the little that she had and willing to pour out, right? It was a shift in mindset for her, a shift in focus for this woman. She just had to change her mindset from defeat to victory, from I have nothing to surplus, more than enough. And then she had to be ready to pour out. The more she poured out, the more God poured into her. And his pouring into her only stopped when she ran out of vessels. So don't run out of life. Don't run out of joy and peace and kindness as you pour into others. Let God continue to pour into you and fill you up, right? When I started to think about that, I thought, well, we run out of these things. When do you run out of love and life and joy and peace and patience? You run out of it when we let strife and anger and offense and fear and worry steal what God is pouring in. It's like dumping water into a bucket filled with holes, or better yet, filling up a blow-up bed that's leaking air. And let me tell you, I've done that a lot of times. And when you do that, you as a person become frustrated, confused, angry, and soon you give up and you let that thing deflate. And frankly, I throw it in the trash, right? It's frustrating to continue to pour into something and have it never rise, never become full, never grow to what it could be, right? So rather, the opposite of that was I could go and find the hole, patch it, fix it up so that it could do what it was created to do, right? I would have to find the leak. So do you ever feel like you're pouring into others every day, but you yourself are becoming exhausted, frustrated, angry, stressed out, fearful? That's a good sign that you have a leak, right? God is pouring in, because when you pour into others, God pours into you, but it isn't filling you up, right? If you're feeling like that, then you have to find your leak. Are you holding on to unforgiveness, onto anger, onto offense, onto fear? You have to fix it so that you can inflate, so you can become full and stay full no matter who throws their weight on you, right? When an air mattress is in good condition, it doesn't matter how heavy of a person is laying on it night after night. It doesn't matter how many kids are jumping on it. And yes, some of the air comes out, but the minute you pour air into it, it fills up bigger than it was before. That's the surplus, right? So this week, I want to encourage you to shift your focus, change your mindset from one of defeat to victory. One from I have nothing and it'll all be gone to I have more than enough. I have a surplus of joy and of love and of peace and of patience and of finances and of healing because God is for me, so who can be against me? So begin to pour out what you do have. She did have something. She felt like she had nothing. She felt like giving up. She felt like it was all gone, but she did have something, right? She had a little bit of oil. So begin to pour out what you do have. Pour out the love, the joy, the peace, the kindness, the helpfulness, a smile, a hug, patience. And as you do, allow God to fill you up better than before. Pour out, but be mindful of your leaks, right? Pour out and then get into his presence and examine yourself. Patch what leaks may be present. If you're pouring out and then you feel yourself getting frustrated, you're not having as much patience, your joy isn't there, find that leak, patch it, and then allow God to fill you up in every area of your life. That's the cool thing about Father God. So overflowing in your finances, in your healing, overflowing in joy, in peace, in love, in family. When we obey God, when we choose to walk in love, when we choose kind, I tell my kids that every day, choose kind, no matter what's going on, and we obey him and seek him, the oil will not stop flowing. Notice that with the woman, the oil stopped when she ran out of vessels to fill. So don't run out of people to pour into. Don't run out of the vessels to fill. Patch your leaks. Keep your mattress full, bigger than before, so that you can handle the weight of every single thing happening to you in your life, so that you can handle the pressure and the weight and keep your air full. Keep God filling you in. Keep pouring out what you have. When you do that, when you pour into others and you let God pour into you, then just like the woman, you are constantly in provision in every area of life. He said at the end, go take that and pay off all your debt and live on the rest. When you let God pour into you because you're obedient and you pour out what he's asked you to pour out, then your life is at peace and at joy in every area of your life. Have a great week. Bye.